Has this ever happened to you? That is how many marketing ads start. Marketers have learned that they have to first discover your pain points. Then they offer a particular good or service that soothes those pain points. Well, for a price, of course. It goes something like this. I see that you're in pain, that you're unsettled or maybe even lost. Let me help you. Yes, says the consumer, I am lost. Perhaps you might have something that could help. I would do almost anything to find relief from my suffering. That's good, says the marketer, for I've devised a plan for only X amount. I'll give you all my knowledge and expertise, and then you'll be relieved of whatever the particular suffering has to be. At this point, customers line up, credit cards in hand, ready to buy. If the marketer comes through on his promises, and to some degree it soothes the customer's pain, then he can be pretty sure that he has a chance of success. But at this point, let's stop for a moment. What of those who have no money? There are many of them, more and more today, and more things being offered. But if you're quiet and you listen closely enough, you can hear the sighs of those who turn away in despair. If only we could afford a pew in the temple of the great God of success, then perhaps. But it's no use. For though the marketer may legitimately yearn for the enlightenment and nurturing of all of his fellow beings, it must take a back seat to his principal interest, that of personal profit. And here we find the biggest flaw in the whole system, the fact that ultimately it cannot serve those who need it the most. But this is not its only flaw. If so, we could solve it through philanthropic work. All we would have to do is convince a few of the haves to ante up for a few of the have-nots. Instead, we discover that not only do the poor stumble with their pain points and have their own particular sufferings, but so do the so-called rich, for they keep coming back to the marketer for more. The reason for this is that the desire for personal profit taints everything that it touches, so that even those who can afford to feed at the troughs of the successful find themselves empty still. But of course, this is advantageous for the marketer, for he is also empty, though he feigns abundance, and thus the next installment, available at a greatly reduced price of, well, you get the idea. So we discover in the end that we're all poor, but it is rare that any but the truly poor will admit to it. Those who feign abundance have convinced themselves too thoroughly that they have no need of that wisdom which lies in the great beyond. They content themselves with things that they can grasp hold of with their hands and masticate with their fleshy minds. But it is in poverty that one may begin to attain to the knowledge which is available only to those who stand hands open and empty before the altar of the great unknown. And here it is that the earth rises to meet us, and the heavens reach down to answer the cry of the truly wretched soul who has nowhere else to turn. For are not the earth's creeping creatures also empty-handed, as also the birds of the air? And if the birds of the air, then too all that good and meaningful creation which lies beyond the realm of sight. Perhaps that is why religious art depicts Christ and the angels standing before us with arms outstretched, their hands open and empty. Perhaps the hands of the infinite were never meant to be filled by anything but the embrace of those for whom it sacrifices its desire for personal profit. If so, then it appears that there is an option still. For those who are turned away from the path of the successful, because they just don't have enough. They're short on funds. But it does not come without its own price of sorts. Remember that the desire for personal profit taints all that it touches. But if you can leave it at the door and trust your welfare to that power that feeds the birds of the sky, then perhaps you are ready to be stripped of that which makes you susceptible to the marketing model, and even fly beyond it, and beyond earthly pain as well, to that life that transcends human institutions, which, of course, promise in part, and they deliver in part, but never can take a man and make him completely whole. If this is the case, then I look forward to taking this journey with you. God bless you. The Trackless Path.